Tell me a little bit about what you've done to the gameplay, what kind of feedback you've incorporated when putting this all together.
Yeah, so we looked at originally we were developing sort of a linear corridor shooter, and then when we acquired the IP back in 2012, we sort of looked at the game and thought, you know, what is it that we can do to this game to sort of really encompass this guerrilla warfare, and it made sense for us to go open world, and we have now this kind of open environment, this open sort of guerrilla combat on the streets of Philadelphia.
Yeah, you're talking about guerrilla combat. These guys are using everything available to take down their enemy here. This is the scrappy revolution force, so we see a lot of combination, a lot of you're making your own items here, your own weapons.
Yeah. So, I mean, the KPA have basically us Korean People's Army. They're, like I said earlier, they're sort of in full control. And any kind of, they've taken over with their superior technology and their drone presence, and any kind of attempt to go head on against the KPA sort of always ends badly for the resistance, for the kind of the American fighters who are still sort of trying to push back. So they improvise, and they use these guerrilla tactics to sort of sabotage, infiltrate, ambush their KPA counterparts. And it's these sort of hit and run tactics that we're going to see in this demo, that sort of getting in, striking at the enemy, and then getting out and sort of melting back into the environment before the KPA have sort of had a chance to respond.
So who is our military genius that is in charge of leading this revolution?
You play as Ethan Brady in the story, and he sort of starts off as a everyday sort of regular guy. He's a shop worker, games journalist.
Excellent. Close to home.
Yeah, and as the story progresses, he sort of joins in with the resistance. I don't want to give too much away on the story,
Sure.
but sort of there's a path that he takes through there to kind of instigate this sort of second war of independence.
Wow. So I was just going to say this game is gorgeous, but it's also quite ridiculous. We see somebody here peeing and I guess getting focused
well,
on
I mean, what we're showing here is sort of the open environment of the world, and sort of this is kind of this sort of brutality that we see the KPA sort of they don't really pull their punches. You know, anyone who kind of steps out of line sort of gets dealt a heavy force back at them. So that's kind of what we're showing here now.
So, I mean, this is the future, but we've also been set a while back in technology in the U.S., I guess, for the Revolution fighters. So what kind of weapons are we going to see here that they're going to be using?
Yeah, so they don't. The Resistance fighters don't have the same access to the technology that the KPA have here, so they're kind of improvised. They end up kind of building their own weapons and sort of looking out for, exploring the environment to find scavenge that they can build and create their own improvised weaponry.
And we've seen some unique elements here. He had his camera out. He was, I guess, casing the joint, checking out what he was going to, how he was going to approach.
I mean, so what we see here, this symbol up at the top here, this is kind of what we call this resistance language. They leave these signs around the world for each other, and you kind of look out for this, and sort of, that's where you can kind of give each other scavenger balls and weaponry. And we saw a brief glimpse there of kind of this uprising going on. So as you kind of chip away at the KPA's sort of stranglehold on the environment, you gain uprising, and as you do that, the world will evolve and react to your sort of presence. So here, this uprising mechanic here that we've implemented.
So that's interesting. Is there, aside from completing the game, completing missions, does that automatically sort of rally people to you?
Yeah, so, I mean, so we call it an evolving Philadelphia. It's a dynamic, evolving world that the player plays in. And at the start of the game, the KPA, like I said earlier, are in full control, and you see that through the actions of the civilians and how people interact with you, and certain gameplay areas aren't available to the player, but as the player kind of gains this uprising mechanic, the world naturally evolves around them, and you'll see the sort of behaviours change differently, but then also as kind of you unlock further levels of uprising, new areas become available to the player. So the world that you see at the start of the game isn't the world you'll see at the end of the game.
That is pretty exciting. So what else am I missing here? We have a huge open world gameplay. We have some incredible weapons that we're going to get a chance to use. He's building something right here, I'm guessing, what he's grabbing off.
Yeah, so here we see the player going into a stash. This has sort of been hidden away, and there's kind of a weapon mod there, which I'll touch more on later. And he's kind of picked up an RC car, which he can kind of use to create these improvised explosive devices, pop them on the RC car, and kind of, I mean, we'll see it in a bit. I don't want to give too much away before we go into it.
That's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about the team that you have working on this game. Where do they come from? What are their influences? And what are you bringing to the game personality-wise?
So the game is based in the Nottingham studio, so there's a lot of ex-Free Radical guys, working there, Time Splitters guys there. We've also got people in Frankfurt working on it who've sort of come off the Crisis project, so it's a real real mix of sort of talents on that.
Do you have a favorite element of the game?
Yeah, I mean I do, but I don't think we've revealed it yet, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But so I think we just touched on it there, this resistance support mechanic, but I don't want to go too much into it. But
yeah, this feels very natural here. That you've got some technology. You see games incorporating the technology that we have today.
Yeah.
So a lot of games you're running around the woods with guns. Well, it would be solved with a cell phone. It would be solved with a text message.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Are we going to have some non-violent solutions here also?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, we want to sort of go back to the heritage, back to the roots of the Crytek sort of brand, and what we've done here, and you can kind of see what we're trying to do here is kind of create these 360 setup scenarios where it's not just about one way to attack we're attacking a police station here, not just about one way to solve a problem, but you really allow the player to think about how they're going to tackle each one.
So all we see here, the vehicles coming in.
Yeah, so what we've shown here is so there's an explosion, a distration's gone off in the distance that the player's been a part of, and that drawing the KPA out of their location. And as obviously you can see, it's still heavily fortified, so the player can't just charge in their guns blazing as you would in a more traditional shooter.
So that's not an option then, the run and gun.
Well, you could, but we're not encouraging it by the way we're balancing the game. So we don't want the player to just be able to charge in guns blazing and sort of do everything really easily. They've really got to think about how they're going to get to their objective, and that's kind of what we see here with this. We call it the Gorilla Toolkit. So he's able to build and craft these items from scavenge and then combine them to create kind of interesting and varied scenarios for how they're going to tackle a situation.
All right, this looks like an interesting element here. He's constructed a rolling C4.
Yeah, and basically this the objective is to get a bomb on the door, and yeah, you could go in, and shoot everyone up, but chances of success on that are very kind of slight. So it's this hit and run tactics where you've kind of got to use your noggin a little bit about how you're going to get into the scenario. So here we see him using the cover of a vehicle, going in and getting that bomb sort of past the KPA and onto his objective.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm focused on this little guy here. He's going to make it all the way to the door. There we go. Okay.
Here we go.
So do you have anybody helping you out in this game? Do you have like a buddy, somebody you want to protect, hang out with?
So I mean that sort of touches on the feature that I sort of hinted at earlier. We have this concept of resistance support. So it's not a specific kind of co-op buddy, I think, in the traditional sense of the word. But you can call in kind of resistance that you recruit to help you in certain situations. So here we've kind of shown that he's kind of called in resistance support in his location, but you can kind of call them in to create distractions, to get to come and help you shoot, or to kind of help you blend back into the environment.
So you are their leader. They will follow you to their death if you command. Not quite.
Not quite. Yeah. Like I say, I don't want to give too much of the story away, but yeah, it's not so much that you're the leader of the resistance and pushing them forward. You're sort of just an everyday guy who's kind of part of this resistance. And we're really keen not to make it that you're this sort of super soldier that's taking on the world, and more you're sort of this, just involved in the resistance.
Almost there.
Without giving too much away.
Without giving too much away. That is the toughest part
Yeah.
of talking about games that are about to come out. Don't give too much away. But without giving too much away, what are you guys planning, once you get everybody in this game, what are they really going to be able to do maybe with each other? Am I going to be able to play with friends at all?
Yeah, so I don't want to go too much into the sort of the multiplayer side of things. We'll talk more about that later, but we are going to support 4-player co-op in this. But that's just a little teaser and no more on that. But here what we can say is the kind of the advanced weapon customization that we've got. So it's kind of creating and crafting these your own weapons on this. So an M4 to start isn't necessarily an M4 at the end of the game.
It's dark times here.
So I'd touch a little bit on kind of what we're seeing here. So at the start of the game, the player was inside what we call a yellow zone, which is these sort of police districts, and has these kind of where the KPA have a strong presence, but as you go out and you transition into the environment, you've gone into a red zone there, and that's more the open guerrilla warfare that we kind of see on the streets of Philadelphia there. So we kind of hinted at the end. So.
Excellent. Well, where are we going to be able to get this game?
So 2015, but no more specifics than that.
2015, more specifics. This has been a lot of teasing and only a little bit of information, but what we have seen has been absolutely incredible. So is there anything we missed? Is there any big selling point I haven't hit on yet?
No, I think I was kind of rattling through it
yeah,
as we were talking. Yeah,
a lovely look there, and I just want to point out this game is beautiful. This is something that we see a lot of new games coming out, but this one here, the detail, the work you guys have put into it. I mean, you're the lead project designer here. What is it like in the office trying to do this?
I mean, yeah, it's always hard work, isn't it, making games? And but yeah, I mean, it's starting to take shape now. I think everyone at the studio is really excited about kind of the potential for it.
That's good. When people in the studio are excited, then I think the gamers can get excited.
Yeah.
All right, where can we find more information as this develops?
So we're going to look to put together a playable demo for Gamescom. I'm not sure if I'm actually supposed to communicate that, but I've just done it.
Oh,
so
well, that's why we have you guys up here, not the PR team, right, Will? So other than that, I mean, you guys have a Twitter, you guys have a website, we can sign up, get newsletters?
Yes, so it's, this is why you need a PR person who can go that, but you can check out Crytek.com and...
Homefrontgame.com. Thank you, PR guy. All right.
But yeah, you can check out the Crytek website as well and get more information on there.
Excellent. Well, you guys, I'm sure, want more information. You can check that out. We are here with Adam, the lead designer from Homefront, The Revolution. I know you guys are excited, and we have to save the U.S., so start following and get ready in 2015.